Welcome to the Explainer. We're going to just skip the usual preamble today and jump right into a really fascinating, honestly kind of mind-blowing, 180-year timeline. We're looking at the history of our vanishing privacy and how the entire world around us completely transformed while we were, well, mostly just busy looking at our screens. Okay, so let's dive into this brilliantly simple metaphor, a frog and a pot of water. You've probably heard it, right? Imagine you drop a frog into cool, comfortable water. The heat rises so slowly, just gently, degree by degree, that the frog just never really notices. And by the time the water is actually boiling, it's completely too late to jump out. Today, we're going to use this exact metaphor to explain how mass surveillance grew around us so slowly over the last century and a half that we barely even noticed the heat rising.
All right, phase one, the comfortable cool. This takes us through the era prior to the 1990s.
At this point, the water feels absolutely fine. Our frog just settles in. But here's the thing. Long before the internet was even a spark, the foundational machinery of surveillance was already being built. Back in 1841, the Mercantile Agency began the very first systematic tracking of individual credit and personal character. Jump forward to 1921, and credit associations had expanded to 230 cities, hoarding mass archives of behavior on millions of ordinary Americans. Now, there was some pushback for sure. In 1965, the Supreme Court case Griswold v. Connecticut established a constitutional right to privacy, acting as this great beacon of hope. And then, in 1974, the Privacy Act attempted to regulate federal data. But, as we'll see, these protections would largely prove to be just on paper.
Think about it. Before servers and the cloud, early data collection was completely grounded in physical reality. Surveillance lived in heavy ledgers and massive filing cabinets inside huge brick-and-mortar institutions. Our frog doesn't even notice the pot is on a stove yet. The water is totally room temperature. Everything feels completely, blissfully normal. Moving on to phase two, the water begins to warm. Welcome to the 1990s. So, with the arrival of the globally connected internet, someone quietly turns on the burner beneath our frog. Digital commerce scaled up super fast, creating this exciting world of possibility. But there was a massive red flag. By 1997, a landmark study found that out of the 100 most visited websites, 83% didn't even have a basic privacy policy. And the few that actually did, they completely failed to meet basic standards. We were just handing over our personal data with absolutely zero rules. And this is an absolutely crucial point. A cookie, invented by Netscape in 1994, isn't a digital snack. Actually, scratch that. It's not a snack at all. It is the very first real tracking device of the digital age. It's a tiny file sitting right there on your computer that systematically reports your online habits back to companies. For the very first time, websites could remember you and literally follow you everywhere. European regulators actually sounded the alarm in 1995 with their first data protection directive, sensing the danger of this kind of tracking, but American companies pretty much entirely ignored it.
Which brings us to phase three, the heat rises, spanning from 2001 to 2012.
Now the water becomes noticeably warm, and we start building tension from two completely different sides. On the government side, the post-9/11 world violently took shape. Past just 45 days after September 11th, the 2001 Patriot Act granted sweeping, warrantless government powers fueled by fear. And that was quickly followed by the Pentagon's 2002 Total Information Awareness proposal, which wanted to connect every facet of private life into one giant scheme. Then, on the consumer side, we have convenience. In 2001, the very first GPS-enabled mobile phones arrived. And while privacy advocates raised major alarms about being tracked by cell signals, we willingly put these sophisticated tracking devices right into our pockets. Why? Because having a map with you at all times was just too convenient to pass up. Our frog is definitely starting to shift uncomfortably now because the legal net escalated quietly. In 2008, the FISA Amendments Act enacted Section 702. This allowed the NSA to legally sweep up massive amounts of ordinary, everyday American data. And how did they do it? By classifying it as incidental collection while targeting the communications of foreign targets. By 2012, without you even knowing, your phone, your browser, your credit card, and your government were all quietly building a file on you. And now, phase four, the boiling point, 2013 to the present. We've reached the climax of our story, guys. The water is boiling. Mass surveillance is revealed not as some wild conspiracy theory, but as daily infrastructure. Let's look at the timeline. In 2013, Edward Snowden leaked classified documents revealing the PRISM and Upstream mass tracking programs, which were collecting data on millions without individual warrants. In 2018, the Supreme Court case Carpenter v. United States finally mandated location warrants, though agencies very quickly found workarounds and loopholes. By 2021, investigative journalists exposed the Pegasus project, military-grade spyware from an Israeli company infecting the phones of global leaders, activists, and ordinary citizens in over 45 countries. And just recently, in 2024, RSI expanded those Section 702 surveillance powers to potentially include anyone with physical access to internet infrastructure. We're talking millions of ordinary IT and data center workers.
So what is the result? A fully surveilled reality.
This is the world that was built around us, quietly, degree by degree. Surveillance isn't just a tool aimed at criminal suspects anymore. It is baked right into the infrastructure of modern life. It is in every single app, every device, and every platform we depend on to communicate. Privacy is nearly impossible now. Today, opting out of tracking essentially means you have to opt out of the modern world entirely.
Let's look at exactly how your personal smartphone betrays you today, step by step. Step 1. Your location is sold. Your phone records your physical location every few seconds. That data is sold to brokers who sell it to advertisers, and as we've learned, they even sell it to law enforcement so agencies can entirely bypass those warrant requirements we just talked about. Step 2. Your social graph is mapped. Analysts use your metadata, meaning who you call, when you call them, and for how long. Without reading a single actual message, they can use this data to map your entire network and predict your future behavior, your financial vulnerability, your health conditions, and even your political leanings.
So here we are. The water is absolutely boiling. The frog never jumped because each degree of lost privacy felt too small, or honestly just too convenient to really matter. But now you see the whole 180-year picture. Are we going to notice in time to actually do something about it? I really want you to evaluate your own comfort in this boiling pot, and hopefully this explainer has sparked a real desire in you to learn exactly how to fight back and reclaim your digital life.